Good morning in the beautiful Galilee morning. So, unusual time for me to be coming to you, and there's nobody else on Zoom except for me. But I've just got something that I can't walk away from that just keeps rolling around inside of me. Um, First of all, let's talk about the past year here in Israel. It's not always the easy thing that we're called to do. It's not always the thing that we want to do that's required of us. And sometimes we don't know the path that lays ahead of us. In fact, most of the time, we don't know the path we've been called to. Every step we take along the path that He puts us in is a step of faith. That's just the end of the story. Just go back to Mount Sinai. When they agreed to follow Elohim, did they know the rules before they agreed to follow him? They were just required to follow him. And I'm sorry, I realize my microphone is hanging out in left field over there, so the sound is probably better. So it's been a year, and as of late, I've been fatigued. There is a fatigue of living in war, even if the rockets, missiles, and um, I may have just gotten the YouTube kicked off or the video kicked off of YouTube by saying the WAR word. So there is a fatigue that comes as you live from alert to alert about what may be coming at you in the sky. And I would say the last week, especially, the weight of the October 7th anniversary has placed just a real fatigue on the nation in general. My friends and I have spoken about the fact that, you handle things one at a time pretty good, but if they all seem to pile up and hit you at once, then it feels completely different. But what I'm really here for is because there is absolutely a resounding statement that's going through my body. And I'm directing this at America. For years, the known believing world has been praying for revival, but they have been praying for Azusa Street. They've been praying for Pensacola, Florida. They've been praying for, they don't know what a revival is. They don't know what needs to be revived. It's not the reaction of the flesh to the spirit, if that is the spirit, the Holy Spirit, the Ruach Kodesh. That is not what needs to be revived. What needs to be revived is the understanding of what's required of us. A long, 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 long time ago, countries, sovereign citizens of different countries in the world began giving themselves away from Elohim to the government. What am I talking about? Yes, you've got to pay taxes. But instead, what has happened is the body of Elohim is no longer his hands. And it hasn't been even in my memory of being on earth. What am I talking about? When I was a kid and we were in the people of the steeple, it was the pastors and the deacons who visited the sick and the shut in, but that's not what the scripture says. You say you want revival and you don't go out to these places that are being hit. You've got what would that be? The southeast corner of the United States that's devastated by the last hurricane. You've got Wyoming that's on fire. A couple of weeks ago, I saw some Texans were locked in their house because of a chemical spill, and it wasn't safe to go outside. And now you've got another hurricane coming. And instead of saying This is the opportunity for the God of Israel to shine mighty through the hands that he's and the work that he's called me to do. I hear believers, whether they are Torah keeping or steeple people, talking about the failures of FEMA. Good. FEMA needs to fail. We need to get off the hind booby of the government and step up and be the hands of Elohim again. Isaiah 53. Cry aloud and spare not. Lift up thy voice like a trumpet and show my people their transgressions and the house of Jacob's their sin. Yet they seek me daily and delight to know my ways, as a nation that did righteousness and forsook not the ordinances of their God, but they had. They ask of me the ordinances of justice, and they delight in approaching God. Wherefore have we fasted, say they, and thou seest not? Wherefore have we afflicted our soul, and thou takest no knowledge? Behold, in the day of thy fast you find pleasure, and exact all your labors. Behold, you fast for strife and debate, to smite with the fist of wickedness. You shall not fast as you do this day, to make your voice heard, to make your voice to be heard on high. Is this such a fast that I have chosen? A day for a man to afflict his soul, to bow down his head as a bulrush, to spread sackcloth and ash under him. Wilt thou call this a fast, an acceptable day to the Lord? This is not the fast. Is this not the fast that I have chosen? Now he's going to tell them what he's expecting them. Now he's going to tell them the ordinances they have broken. To loose the bands of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, to let the oppressed go free, that you break every yoke. That's what he's saying. This is the fast that I have called. It is called the fast of self and the fast of service. Is it not to deal thy bread to the hungry, and that thou bring the poor that are cast out into thy house? I'm not seeing any of y'all bringing in any of these storm victims into your home yet. You're putting them in public shelters, but you're not putting them in your home. When thou seest the naked, that thou cover him, and that thou hide not thyself from thy own flesh. Then shall thy light break forth. Then shall thy light break forth, which is his light, as the morning, and thy health shall spring forth, and your health shall spring forth speedily, and thy righteousness shall go before thee, and the glory of the Lord be thy reward. Then shalt thou call, and the Lord shall answer thee. If you will get up off your tuchuses, and in every manner that you can minister to these people, then you will be heard of the Lord, and he shall answer. Keep the Sabbath, obey the 10, keep his Sabbaths of his feast days. And thou shalt cry, and he shall say, Here am I. If thou take away from the midst of thee the yoke, and putting forth the finger and speaking vanity. Vanity is speaking about, hang on. Vanity is speaking about the failures of the government without doing anything as the body. I'll be right back. This was one of those moments I couldn't wait any longer to speak. Vanity is griping about the government and not doing anything as the body. It doesn't matter who you connect yourself with. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Do the work of Elohim. And if they draw out thy soul to the hungry and satisfy the afflicted soul, then shall thy light rise in obscurity, and thy darkness as the noonday. And the Lord shall guide thee continually, and satisfy thy soul in drought, and make fat thy bones. And thou shalt be like a well-watered garden, and like a spring of water, whose waters fail not. And they shall build of thee and they that shall be of thee shall build the old waste places, that shall rise up the foundation of many generations, and thou shalt be called the repairers of the breach, the restorer of the paths to dwell in. Jeremiah, stand in the path and ask, where is the good way? But you will not walk in it. That's what Jeremiah says. This is Isaiah. And if thou turn thy foot from the Sabbath and from doing thy own pleasure on my holy day, don't do this on the holy day. If you can do it 6 other days of week, and honorable, and shalt honor him, not doing thy own way, or finding thy own pleasure, nor speaking thy own word, then thou shalt delight thyself in the Lord, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken it. Then if we just pop over to Matthew 25, I think it's about 33. Sorry, hang on one more minute. I'm going to go turn that stove off. Again, this was not planned. I couldn't stand looking at one more gripe about FEMA and about how the supplies are locked up and about how they're not taking care of people. Matthew 25. And when the Son of Man shall come in his glory and all the holy angels with him, then shall he set up on the throne of his glory. But then he shall sit upon the throne of his glory, and before him shall be gathered all the nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats, and he shall set the sheep on the right hand, but the goats on the left hand. Most people know this parable. What differentiated the sheep from the goats? He says, for I was hungered and you gave me meat, and I was thirsty and you gave me drink, and I was a stranger and you took me in, and naked and you clothed me. This is Isaiah again. And sick and you visited me. I was in prison and you came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him and say, Lord, when saw we thee with these conditions? And he said, when you did these to the least of these, my brethren. And to the goats, he said, you didn't do this. And then we wanted up to think it's James, if I remember right. Hang on. Don't want to make this long. I just got to get this out here. Uh, Let me poke it in. Would help if I push that search button instead of just. Pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this: to visit the fatherless and the widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world. We have a responsibility. I don't care which calendar you're on. If you're convinced it's right, I don't care which church you go to. If you're convinced they have the church, I don't care if you're not churched. If you're not doing the work we're called to do, then you're not a sheep, you're a goat. America, you have been given the opportunity to step forward and be the hands of Elohim. Forget your government. Many of us, not me, at one time, yes. Many of us have been on the nursing off the government, all the benefits, all the everything that we can get from it. For goodness sake, after all, we pay our taxes. That's what it's for. You owe the taxes. They say they will do this, but you need not to put your eggs in that basket. You need to roll your sleeves up, and you need to be the hands of Elohim. And before you ask, yes, I have brought people without places to live into this house, and we have taken care of them. We've housed them. Many times we've fed them. Sometimes we haven't had to feed them. Sometimes we've only housed them. Yes, we have done this. So I'm not saying anything to you that we do not apply in our life, but these things have to be returned to. By your love for each other, the world will know that you are mine. And we demonstrate our love by treating those out there, whether they're believers or not, by treating them with the Torah. If we can find the believers out there that have lost everything, all the better. When you find the one that doesn't know Elohim and his son, the Messiah, you have an opportunity to minister to them. When you find the one that does know Elohim and his son, the Messiah, then look what happens. Go back and read Isaiah again and look what happens. Okay, I'm sorry this was broken up. I'm gotta get out of here in a few minutes. I've got an errand to run, but I've been wrestling with doing this for 3 days. 3 days is enough. Beloved, the world will know that we are His by our love for each other. I promise you, there are a lot of people in the area, in the path of that last hurricane, that believe in Elohim and His Son, the Messiah, and they need your ministry. I'm not telling you how to do it. I'm not telling you to be willy-nilly and take off and be slapstick and put yourself at risk. That's not what I'm asking you for. I'm asking for you to pray for the direction from the Ruach HaKodesh, that He will lead and guide you where you are supposed to be. There are many of the believers that Elohim has given abilities to, because some of us have been coming out of the systems for a while. We can build, we can do things in a pinch, we can garden, we know how to work hard, roll our sleeves up, we know how to shovel mud. There's lots of things that we can do in this moment. And I'm charging you, America, you want revival, revive perfect religion, revive. The world will know your mind by your love. Revive it. Bring it back. Be that beacon of light. Okay, I'm done.